Dr. Ashley here. All right. So today we're talking about the new way to think about work so that it won't be as likely to cause burnout in your life. So hopefully it'll be a good talk for everybody. If you don't know me, I'm Dr. Ashley. I'm a general pediatrician, and I love thinking about marketplace ministry. Basically, how do you treat your job like your God given mission in life? So, um, we've been talking through my story a lot. We've been talking through my experience in residency. And one of the things I was thinking about was that I was excited about going into continuity clinic. That's our personal clinic that we do. We get set up with patients and we follow them for a couple of years. And we see them basically like we're the doctor, and then we have someone who oversees us. And so I got set up with a couple of babies, newborns that I got to kind of watch grow. One of which was a little boy who had a single mom who was really nervous, asked a lot of questions, and was always there with her mom, so baby mom and grandmother. And when we very first got started off, we had several conversations about how sodas are not appropriate for babies, for newborns. You just give baby like formula and milk, and so I think we got through that okay, and got through the food transitions and things. But basically, I was always really detailed about going through developmental screens and going through expectations for how the baby would be changing over the next couple of months, things like that. And I thought I was doing a great job. I was like, look how great I'm teaching this mom. And she was so nervous, but I'm encouraging her. She's doing great. It's all fine. I thought it was all fine. So anyway, somewhere around 9 months, they come in and I'm like, how are things going? And they're like, something's wrong with the baby. I was like, oh, okay, that sounds dangerous. What's been going on? And so they proceed to tell me that essentially the baby has been walking off the dining room table. And I was like, off the how many times did you let the baby walk? Sorry, I mean, how many times did this happen? And so essentially I like did an exam and checked out the baby who had fallen off the table multiple times. And then we talked about how actually there's some good in this, right? Like 9 month olds don't actually usually walk. So your little boy is actually ahead of the curve. He's actually doing good. That's actually really good. But here's the thing, babies are not afraid of heights the way we are. They don't realize that they could potentially get hurt. They haven't learned that fear yet. So you have to watch him. You have to keep him from walking off of things. And remember how we talked about he was going to roll off the bed, so don't leave him up on a thing. Yeah, so same thing here. Don't let him walk around on the table. Yeah, so maybe just put him on the ground and let him walk around on the ground. Yeah, that's just he's doing great. That's everything's great. So, needless to say, we went through developmental stuff really, really good for like the next hour. I like really tried to think of every possible random scenario they were going to go through. And of course, that was not the end of it. They came back at sometime around 15 months, I think, and they were like, something's wrong with him. I was like, what now? What? And they were like, well, he has a cousin, and his cousin's a newborn, and we gave him to the newborn to hold, and he just dropped him and walked away. Something's wrong with the boy. It's like, this poor child is totally fine. You just need to stop expecting him to do things that he's literally incapable of doing. So anyway, so I started thinking about this story when I was thinking about work. When you're thinking about work in general, work was never meant to be a punishment to us. Work was supposed to be an opportunity. So if we go way back to Genesis, um, God created the world and called it good. He literally had no reason to intervene or to change things, but decided he wanted to create a world, create people, create animals, and put all these different things together. He wanted to use his abilities. And then on the seventh day, it says he sat and enjoyed everything that he had created. And basically, God in Genesis 2:15 tells Adam and Eve to work and take care of the garden. And the way that you translate those words that are used there, work and take care of, they would translate to worship and obey, which basically means that from the beginning of time, God expected our work. them tending to the garden, them taking care of the animals, them doing whatever their job was. He expected that to be like worship to him. So doing your work is worshiping God. So God delighted just the same way that he delighted in the work that he had created. He takes pride in the things that we do and loves to see us do great things. And then in Genesis 1:28, it says that God blessed them and he commanded them to learn and go, enter and redeem, to emulate him, to become substitute caretakers for the world. So basically, the earth was complete and functional and perfect, and he wanted us to take care of it and make sure that it stayed, but also to further develop and further create things. He wanted us to explore, cultivate, and expand. So God cares about the work that you do. And that's one of the things that I really love about learning about the creation mandate. From the very get go, work was meant to be a positive thing. In other cultures, if you learn about work, a lot of times the way that they describe it is that a bunch of gods were sitting around doing nothing, and then something bad happened and they had to get up and go fix it. But that's not the story we see in the Bible. In the Bible, God works just for the joy of being able to create something and then enjoy what he's created. So that means that everything that you're doing, be it spreadsheets or cleaning the house, doing emails, or working in the chaos, trying to convince people not to give their child Pepsi, whatever it is that you're doing for work, all of those things, God delights in seeing your gifts and seeing the abilities that he gave you and seeing you take care of the world that he left for us. So I don't know if you've ever taught anything. If you're watching this in replay and want to put in the comments, I love teaching or something like that. But I do love teaching. And one of the first times I ever got to teach, I did a middle school youth choir. We had our children's choir and we had the adult choir at church, and I felt like I didn't belong. So I created a youth choir. And I remember how much time it took to get the girls together and to learn the parts and blah, 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 blah. But once we finally finished and actually got to sing live, and everybody just loved the song that we did, it turned out so well. And I was so proud of all of the work that I had done and all the time that I had put in, and also how well the girls had stepped up and just sang beautifully. And so if you've ever taught, you know that the pride and joy that you feel from watching someone do well. And that's how God feels seeing you do your work. Now, the problem here is that that is not where the story ends, right? So Adam and Eve sin, and Eve gets cursed, but then Adam does not get cursed. Work is what gets cursed. So the earth is cursed because of Adam. And so the ground grows thistles and thorns, is basically what God says. And that work will be painful toil for all of our days. So if there's any part of your job that sucks, blame Adam. But basically, all of the trying to convince people not to do bad things, and all of the healthcare system problems that are crumbling, and all of the weird, crazy things that happen in your job, all of the people that are just evil, all of those things are part of the toil of work. They're part of the curse. And I think thinking about that is honestly a positive thing, because sometimes I feel like, oh, I have this job that I enjoy, except it's got all these horrible parts, so that maybe then it's not the best job for me. Maybe I should look for something else. But essentially, whatever we do will be affected because of the curse. It will have frustrations. It will have things that interrupt the way that we thought it would go. It will have things that take us out of our dream of, I'm going to be a perfect doctor, and present us with reality that, no, you're not doing all that great. But the great thing about all of it is that it gives you something to refocus on. So as opposed to spending all week looking at all of the horrible things that are happening at work and adding up all of the frustrations and things that I wish I could get rid of, I can refocus on the fact that, God is enamored by the small things that I'm doing, even if they don't feel like they're making a big impact or they feel like they're hitting a wall and nobody's listening. God sees the work that I'm doing, and He loves that. And so it gives some credence and it gives some weight to the things that we do, even if they don't feel like they're making the impact that we hoped they would. So, the other part of this that's so great is that God always has a plan. So we'll keep talking the rest of this week about how redemption comes into play, and that the point of work is not just for us to suffer through all the bad curses that we're now under, but that God has a bigger plan than that. And the other part about work that I love thinking about is just your vision statement. We talked about this last week. It's a really good way to kind of know where you're trying to get in life, and a thing that keeps you focused so that you don't get burned out, so that you don't get frustrated when things get bad. So if you are looking for notes on how to make your vision statement, I will post them. They're posted either in the bio on YouTube, or I'll post them below in Facebook. So thank you guys so much for joining. If you're watching on the replay, please put replay and let me know what your thoughts are on preventing burnout, and if there's anything else any other questions or thoughts that you have on how God views our work. Hope you have a great one. Bye.